Today's lesson is Curry, a global love story. Hi, everybody. I'm Roger.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're going to continue talking about curry. And we did mention what curry is, how it's comprised, how it's prepared. It has various spices, and you could add vegetables and things to it. We also mentioned the fact that it is very healthy. It is very good for you. And if you have a curry, it can be a really hearty and wholesome meal.
Absolutely, you can. And of course, it has all sorts of great health benefits from the spices that you use in almost every style of curry. That's where most of the flavor comes from cooking and warming these lovely spices before you start to make the dish. But the spices will have health benefits. Of course, you can have some good healthy protein with some chicken or fish in your curry, or mutton if you want to be a bit more traditional. And then the vegetables that you throw in there. You can have fiber, you can have beans, you can have all sorts of nutritious stuff. It is cooked in a nice brownish, orangish sauce. You can eat it over with some rice or some bread, and it can absolutely be filling, be very affordable, be very easy, and also be very, very satisfying. So let's find out about some different curry styles around the world. And I think as we learn about these different styles, we will also be sort of seeing into the story of curry and how it has traveled and conquered the world, or at least palates around the world, taste buds around the world, as curry has been adopted almost everywhere. Let's check it out.
Some curries are so popular that they can be found around the world. These include the original Indian curries, as well as Japanese and British variations.
大家好，第一部分介绍名词 variation， 指变体、变化模式、变化或是变动。例如 The new model of the car is a variation of the original model with enhanced features and a more modern design. 这款新车是原本款型的变化款，具有增强的功能和更现代的设计。或者 The play is a modern variation on the classic Shakespearean tragedy. 这部剧是莎士比亚经典悲剧的现代改编版。
Okay, here in the first paragraph, it begins by saying, some curries are so popular that they can be found around the world. Now, let me talk a little bit about the word curry itself. Curry itself refers to that sauce, and that would be non-count. How much curry did you have in your dish? But if you talk about different kinds of curry as they are prepared around the world, then it can be countable. So some curries can be found all over the world, and they're so popular because of that, you can find them pretty much all over the world. They probably even have curry dishes in South America, Africa, and Australia.
Exactly. Not only will you find curry in certain places made in the authentic way that Indian people might like it, you'll also, like a lot of imported food, find curry that's been adapted to local tastes, right? In Taiwan, might serve curry a certain way that's a little bit adjusted for the local Taiwanese taste buds. And then you find other parts of the world where they really have developed their own style of curry, which is very different from anything you would find in India. And it says these include the original Indian curries as well as, or along with, Japanese and British variations. Yeah, so when we have a variation, it's not just a small change. This might be a really different form of the same thing, all right? But in many, many ways, and for someone who is very purist, who likes the authentic Indian curry, the Japanese and British variations or different styles or different forms might be so different that they really don't like them. I could imagine someone from certainly a part of India where the curries are very spicy, having a very mild and almost sweet Japanese curry and being quite confused, in the same way that people from Taiwan can go overseas, maybe to North America, and find the quote-unquote Chinese food they serve there to be very different from anything you would find in any type of restaurant here in Taiwan. American Chinese food is definitely a variation on what we would find here or in China. So let's find out some of these variations, the stories behind them, and also how they're different, how they might taste different if we actually try them.
Curries in India differ by region. North Indian curries are rich and creamy, thanks to the addition of butter, yogurt, or cream. South Indian curries are usually spicier and include ingredients like coconut, tamarind, and curry leaves. Meanwhile, many people associate Japan with sushi, but the Japanese consume billions of plates of curry every year. The dish was brought to Japan by British traders in the 19th century. The Japanese Navy saw that curry provided a nutritious meal to British sailors and decided to adopt it. Japanese curry is a milder, sweeter curry and typically includes potatoes, carrots, onions, and pork or chicken. In the UK, chicken tikka masala is one of the nation's favorite dishes. This British version of curry features marinated chicken cooked in a creamy tomato-based sauce. Although its origin is uncertain, some believe it was created in Glasgow by a Pakistani chef after a customer complained that his chicken was too dry.
第二部分看到形容词 spicy， 表示辛辣的或是有加香料的。例如 I like to eat spicy food during the summer. 我喜欢在夏天吃辛辣的食物。或是 The noodles were too spicy for the children to eat. 这个面太辣了，孩子们没办法吃。接着看到形容词 nutritious， 它的意思是营养丰富的或是营养价值高的。例如I usually have a nutritious salad for lunch. 我午餐通常会吃一份营养丰富的沙拉。也可以说 Olivia always prepares a nutritious dinner for her family. Olivia 总是为她的家人准备营养的晚餐。继续介绍形容词 mild， 表示口味温和的、清淡的或是轻微的。可以说 Owen's soup has a mild flavor, so I don't think it will be too spicy for you. Owen 的汤口味清淡，所以我觉得它对你来说不会太辣。又或者说 I have a mild headache, but I'm not too worried about it. 我有轻微的头痛，但对此我不是很担心。下一个看到动词 marinate， 它的意思是腌泡，也可以是把点点点浸在卤汁中。课文中 marinated 为过去分词做形容词用，表示腌泡的。例如The marinated beef needs to sit for a few hours to absorb all the flavors. 腌泡的牛肉需要静置几小时才能吸收所有的味道。再看一个例子 Marinated tofu can be grilled or stir-fried for a flavorful vegan dish. 腌泡的豆腐可以烧烤或炒，制成一道美味的素食料理。再来我们看到名词 chef， 指的是主厨。举例来说The chef prepared a 3-course meal that showed his skills and attention to detail. 该主厨准备了一顿3道菜的餐点，展示了他的厨艺和对细节的关注。又或者说 The restaurant's head chef prepared a delicious meal for the guests. 这家餐厅的主厨为宾客准备了美味的餐点。
Okay, let's go to the homeland of curry. We're going to go to India.
It's a good place to start.
It's a good place to start. But if we go to India, you can find different kinds of curry there in different regions. Okay, India is a very large country with different areas. You've got Kolkata and Delhi. You've got the Tamils in the south. We've got these different regions of India, and they all have different kinds of curry. So the curries in India differ by region. To differ just means to be different. They have different variations in different parts of India. So if you are traveling in India, you should definitely check out the variations in different parts of India. Enjoy their food because at least myself, I think Indian food is really fabulous and it would be really wonderful to eat it there in the homeland of curry.
It would, absolutely. And you'd be able to travel around the country, seeing different parts of this beautiful land, meeting with people with all sorts of different cultures and traditions, and also trying all the local curries. It says North Indian curries are rich and creamy, thanks to the addition of butter, yogurt, or cream. Okay, so that's in the northern part of the country. If you're up near the border with Pakistan or up near the Himalayas or maybe over on the eastern side, getting over towards Bangladesh, you would find some of these rich and creamy curries. They have a lot of butter, yogurt, or cream. Maybe also the climate is better suited to raising dairy cows, right? Cows that produce milk. So that's why in the sort of milk milk-producing regions, where they will also have, obviously, butter, yogurt, and cream, they can use more of those styles of ingredients in their foods. Southern India curries, so now we're getting down to Mumbai and Goa, down the south of the country. South Indian curries are usually spicier and include ingredients like coconut, tamarind, and curry leaves. Very interesting. I think I knew that as a general rule. South Indian food is spicier than food from the north, so if you like that heat that is created in the food through the spices, South Indian food might be what you're looking for. If you're a spice wimp like me, then maybe the northern Indian curries would be a little more suitable and certainly make my stomach happier. If something is spicier, it's just more spicy. It has those spices and sometimes herbs that give that heat to the dish. And when we say heat, we don't mean temperature hot. We mean spicy hot that comes from the oil, that comes from the actual seeds of some of these spices that you're eating, and it can make the food rather hot on your tongue and a little bit unpleasant if you're not so used to having spicier dishes.
Spicier doesn't necessarily mean it's hot or picante or la, as you say in Chinese, but it does mean it has this very strong flavor because of the spices, but oftentimes it does refer to the food being la or hot. English is kind of bad that way because we don't have a better word for la in English because we just use the word hot, and I guess it's because it produces that sort of hot sensation in your mouth when you eat it, like the food from Sichuan. It can be quite hot and spicy there. And yes, down south, you'll have ingredients like coconut, tamarind, and curry leaves. Okay, you'll know what coconut is, and that's what you can expect to find in curries down in the south of India.
Meanwhile, as we go on, it says many people associate Japan with sushi, but the Japanese consume billions of plates of curry every year. Isn't that interesting? So yes, that is correct. Many people do associate or sort of link in their minds, associate A with B. So in this case, associate Japan with sushi. So often when you think of Japanese food, sushi might be the first or the second thing you think of. And of course, that is true. But the Japanese consume billions of plates of curry every year. I'm sure they also consume billions of plates of sushi or pieces of sushi, but it's kind of telling us that curry may be just as popular with average Japanese people as sushi is. Some Japanese people might eat curry every day for lunch, but maybe wouldn't eat sushi that frequently. When we talk about eating something or using something, we can use this verb to consume. It's a very formal way of saying eating, so you wouldn't say, oh, I consumed 3 hot dogs for lunch today. No, you would use the verb to eat. But when we're talking about taking food into the body as a form of nutrition, when we're talking about people's dietary habits, like in a population or something like that, and also when we talk about using other resources, not just food, but cars consume oil, your home will consume electricity and gas and things like that. So we're kind of using something, we're kind of eating it in a way, or we're using it, or we're powering things, we're getting some kind of energy from this thing. So basically, though, here when we say the Japanese consume all of this curry, we're saying they eat all of this curry. Billions of plates, so many more than a billion plates of curry every year. I think the last time I was in Japan, I had lunch in a local diner, and yes, most people were eating curry.
Indeed. So we think of Japan when we think of the word sushi. You think of Japan, so that's what this phrase here, to associate something with something else. For example, a lot of people associate the United States with gun violence, for example, or mass shootings or whatever. But in this particular case, when you hear sushi, yeah, you think of Japan. But actually, the Japanese consume or eat lots of curry in addition to their sushi and their sashimi and their takoyaki. Now, the dish was brought to Japan by British traders in the 19th century. Okay, so we've got British traders again spreading their influence around the world. They were in India and they thought curry was really good, and they went on to Japan to mingle with the Japanese people there, with the sailors there. And yes, indeed, the traders brought the curry dishes to Japan, and the Japanese people tried it and they liked it.
And then it says the Japanese Navy saw that curry provided a nutritious meal to British sailors and decided to adopt it. So there you go, the Japanese Navy, admirals or captains who might have been learning and training with the British Navy at that time, they saw that curry was served on board these British Navy ships, and the sailors seemed to like it, right? Because having an interesting menu while on, especially on an old sailing ship, was quite a challenge. The food became rather boring because it had to, be long-lasting lasting and not run out or become rotten or things like that. So the menu was quite limited. But curry provided a nutritious meal. Something that is nutritious is full of nutrients, like good vitamins and minerals and all the things that your body needs to stay healthy. So we would probably think of a salad and an apple as a nutritious lunch, and popcorn and cookies, not so nutritious. You're not getting good health benefits from that food that you're eating. Apart from feeling full, it isn't really giving your body a lot of good energy or a lot of good healthy stuff to run on. But curry is quite nutritious. You can have protein, you can have vegetables in there, fiber, all sorts of stuff. It's easy to make. The sailors seem to like it. It's got strong flavors, so even if your chicken is a little bit old or your vegetables are a little bit old, you might not notice it so much. So since it was so popular, the Japanese Navy decided to adopt it, decided to sort of make it their own and also serve curry to their sailors on their ships. But they did notice that maybe the flavor of the British Navy curry might not have been exactly what Japanese sailors would have preferred.
Right. As you know, Japanese food tends not to be too spicy, with wasabi being the exception, but most Japanese food is very mild. It doesn't have a strong spicy flavor. So Japanese curry is a milder and sweeter curry and typically includes potatoes, carrots, onions, and pork or chicken. So of course, they have their own local variation of curry in Japan. They tried the curry that the British Navy officers and sailors were eating. They thought, well, this is tasty indeed, but probably most people in Japan will think it's maybe too spicy or something, so let's make some changes. Let's leave out some of those spices and make it milder, and then let's add some other ingredients like potatoes, carrots, onions, and then some kind of meat like pork or chicken. As you know, in India, certain parts of India are more vegetarian than others, so of course you're going to have different kinds of curries depending on where you are. There are ones that are made primarily of vegetables, and then you have meat ones. In Japan, they don't care about that sort of thing. Their curries are going to have meat in them quite often.
And, of course, Indian people also might be Muslim, in which case, of course, you wouldn't be putting pork in a curry served in India, but in Japan, that would be fine. And how about the UK, where they have wonderful curry, and it's many local curry shops are easy to find. It says in the UK, chicken tikka masala is one of the nation's favorite dishes. Yeah, I do remember maybe 25 years ago, some people wanted to make it the nation's dish. Everyone kind of said, well, what about fish and chips? I think they're sort of co-leaders now, but certainly maybe with the younger generation, with a lot of immigrants too. Chicken tikka masala is a very popular Indian dish, but is it an Indian dish? Not really. It says the British version of curry features marinated chicken cooked in a creamy tomato-based sauce. So that's how you're making. It's similar in many ways, but again, an Indian curry purist might have some issues with chicken tikka masala, the sort of British style of Indian food. It's got chicken cubes or chicken chunks that have been marinated. When you marinate something, you basically make a sauce. In this case, it would be a yogurt-based sauce. You put the chicken pieces in it, let them sit in your fridge for an hour or two to kind of have that flavor sort of be absorbed into the meat. Now you've marinated the meat. To marinate something as a verb, and then you would cook it. You would probably grill the chicken and then throw it in your tomato-based and cream-based sauce, I should say. And then you have your chicken tikka masala. Where did it come from? Although its origin is uncertain, no one really knows. Some believe it was created in Glasgow, Scotland, by a Pakistani chef after a customer complained that his chicken was too dry. So there you go. Could have been a British person, could have been an Indian person, could have been a Scottish person. Who knows? They were in Glasgow at this Indian restaurant. They complained to the chef, who actually was from Pakistan, next to India, but not Indian, that the chicken was too dry. The chef, who of course is the main cook, the leader of the kitchen, the boss of the kitchen, and possibly the most talented person there in the kitchen, they decided to marinate the chicken to satisfy this customer, and a new dish was born.
It's a cute story, but we really don't know for sure if that's where it came from, whether the Scots can take credit for this type of curry in the UK.
Kind of sounds like the story of how potato chips were also created after a customer complained about something, and the chef came up with a brand new recipe. All right, let's check out the final little paragraph we have here.
With so many varieties to enjoy, it's no wonder that curry is so popular. Whether you like it spicy or mild, curry is the ultimate comfort food.
第三部分看到形容词 ultimate， 它表示最好的、极致的，也可以是最终的或是最重要的。可以说 The man's rescue of the drowning child was the ultimate act of bravery. 该男子营救溺水的孩子是最佳的英勇表现。最后一个例子 An Academy Award is the ultimate accolade for an actor. 对演员而言，一座奥斯卡奖是终极的荣誉。
Okay, we wrap things up in the final paragraph here. It says, with so many varieties to enjoy, with so many different kinds of curry to savor, it's no wonder that curry is so popular. It's not surprising. It's no wonder that curry is so popular all over the world. Whether you like it spicy or mild, curry is the ultimate comfort food. And indeed, that does sound reasonable. It could be spicy. It could be mild, not so spicy. But it's the ultimate comfort food. If something's ultimate, it's the highest degree of something. And if something's comfort food, well, it's food that makes you feel really good. I suppose if you're feeling depressed or something and you want to treat yourself to a nice meal, hey, check this out, and it will be something that makes you really, really happy. Okay, we're at the end of our explanation for today. Here comes Hanny.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文一开始提到，有些咖喱非常受欢迎，在世界各地都能找到。这些包括最早的印度咖喱，以及日本和英国经过变化的咖喱。那么文中它用名词 variation 来指变体、变化形式。我们来介绍它的字根 var 或是拼作 vari 这一类的字根表示改变、变化或是使多样化。那在 variation 这个字当中，字根 vari 表示变化， ation 是名词字尾，合在一起 variation 就是表达变体、变化形式或者是变化变动。我们顺便补充几个有这一类字根的单字。第一个是 various， 它的字根 vari 表示变化， ous 是形容词字尾，那合在一起 various 就是表达各种不同的或是各式各样的。好，第二个补充的是 variant， 它的字根 vari 表示改变， ant 它可以是形容词字尾或是名词字尾，那合在一起 variant 当形容词就是指变异的、不同的、有差别的，它当名词则是指变种、变异或是变体。好，第三个补充的是 invariable， 它的字首 in 这部分表示否定，字根 vari 表示改变， able 是易于怎么样怎么样的，所以从字面看来是指不易于改变的。invariable 就是形容不变的、始终如一的。另外补充一下，这一类字根呢，也可以跟其他字组合使用，像 varicolored 它就是由 vari 加上 colored 去表达它是多色的、五颜六色的。好，那么课文第二部分有提到，许多人将日本和寿司联想在一起，但是日本人每年却消费了数十亿盘的咖喱耶。那么文中它用到动词 consume， 在这边它是指吃、喝或是摄取的意思。我们也来介绍它的字根，看到 sume 或者是 sumpt 这一类字根，它就有拿、消耗或者是花费的意思。那在 consume 这个字当中， con 这个字首是做强调用， sume 表示花费取用，那合在一起 consume 就有消耗、花费或者是吃喝饮用的意思。我们顺便补充两个有这一类字根的单字。第一个补充的是 sumptuous， sumptuous。好，那它的字根 sumpt 表示花费， ous 是形容词字尾，合在一起 sumptuous 就是形容昂贵的、奢侈的或者是豪华的。第二个补充的是 resume， 它的字首 re 表示再次，字根 sume 表示取用，那合在一起 resume 它就有继续进行或者是重新开始的意思。好，那么以上今天重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Variation. Different variations of this exercise target various muscle groups. Differ. Milton's approach to solving the problem differed significantly from mine. Spicy. These chips are too spicy for me, but my friend loves them. Consume. Many people consume too much sugar without realizing it. Nutritious. Eating nutritious food is an important part of maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Mild. Gail prefers mild coffee, as stronger coffees are too bitter for her. Chef. The chef is known for his creative use of local ingredients in his dishes. Ultimate. In my opinion, Hawaii is the ultimate vacation option for beach lovers.
Discussion Starter starts now!
It's time now for our discussion starter. The question is, what type of curry is your favorite, or which would you be most interested in trying and why?
Well, I don't know. I think, to be honest, I'd have to say Japanese curry is my favorite kind of curry. I like it best because I've probably eaten it the most frequently out of all these different styles. That being said, I've never really had one of those frightening spicy curries. You often see people in television shows or movies or cartoons ordering them and then the flames come out of their mouth. I'm not a huge fan of spicy curry, but I've never really had a spicy curry, so that's something I would definitely try. But I think Japanese curry is safe for me.
It does sound pretty tasty, but I think I'd like to try the curry in India itself. It's probably going to be very cheap there, and you can probably try all sorts of different kinds of curry. I would almost go to India just to eat their curry. Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Roger.
I am Mike.
See you next time.